I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn After Reading, the bonus show, where we talk about whatever we want.
Including things we actually like.
Leela, what is something that has been bringing you joy lately?
Something that has been bringing me joy is I was able to hang out with my nieces and nephews recently. I have 5 nephews and 1 niece, if you can believe it. 4 nephews and 1 niece. And some of the nephews, they live in North Carolina, kind of far away, and I don't get to see them that much. And so it was really cool to hang out with them recently. And my niece is a very cute. She's 10 months old and
cutest age.
The cutest age of all time. You know, just like the little 2 teeths in the top and the bottom. And lots of personality. It was just really good. I love being an aunt. It's like one of my favorite things about being an adult, honestly, so far. So,
so much joy.
I know. How about you?
My joy recently has been reading on my front porch.
Yeah.
I have a swing and I lay down in it, and I have had so much free time recently. It's kind of crazy. And I've just I'll read for an hour, and then I'll fall asleep for an hour, and then I'll read again, and then it starts raining, and it's a covered porch. So that's a good thing. And just so incredibly pleasant. So I did that today as well.
That's so nice. I know. I'm jealous of your amazing porch and your amazing porch swing.
Yeah, it was our first piece of furniture that we bought when we moved into this house, because it was randomly on super sale at Kroger. It was the weirdest thing.
Huh.
And when we first bought the house, we were eating all our meals out there because we didn't have any furniture inside.
Oh, that's so cute though. I love that.
Classic. We spent all the money on the house and now we can't furnish it.
Yeah. It's such a millennial thing.
I agree. And then we got shitty furniture, and now we're upgrading to less shitty furniture, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we talking about today, Leela?
All right. Today we're here to talk about Shel Silverstein.
Woo woo! What a beloved literary classic.
Yes, an American classic for sure. Beloved American author. Beloved, but also feared from his very scary picture on the back of his book.
I agree. I always thought that when I was a kid. Okay.
This one's not as scary, but the one that's really
smiling
scary
in that one
is that, I think it's
The Giving Tree.
Is it The Giving Tree?
I reread The Giving Tree today, and when I got to the end, I was like, whoa. Leela, what is your history with Shel Silverstein? Did you read him when you were a kid?
Yeah, definitely. My mom definitely read Giving Tree to me. Giving Tree was actually I'm kind of realizing why I remember it so much, so long. I mean, aside from the fact that I have nephews and I've read it to them, and then only once, and then wept, and then never did it again because I scared them.
Yeah.
The Giving Tree was huge in churches because it was used basically as an example of unconditional love and the type of person that you should be.
Oh my God, The Giving Tree is this is good and right?
Yeah. So
not a cautionary tale about giving all of yourself until nothing is left.
Yeah, so we'll get into that because The Giving Tree is
okay.
probably his most famous work, and it is the most divisive and controversial. And they're all a little controversial. So Shel Silverstein was born in 1930, and I was kind of shocked when I read that. I didn't realize.
I guess he thought he was our parents' age.
Yeah, but no, he's a generation or generation and a half above them, really.
That was when my grandma was born.
My grandma was born in 1940, so 10 years before. He was born to a Jewish immigrant from Eastern Europe. That's really all that I have, which my family is also just kind of from Eastern Europe because Russia, Soviet Union, those areas have kind of always been under different names.
Yeah, and also everything got really messed up in the Holocaust.
Yeah. Heard of it?
Well, I'm saying that specifically because both you and Shel Silverstein are from Jewish families.
Yes. So he was born in Chicago. To his father was a Jewish immigrant. His mom was from Chicago, and his parents owned a bakery together.
Cute.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they started their business in the Great Depression, and no one could afford pastries, so it didn't do so good. And then in the 40s, the draft came because of something called World War II. And our boy Shell got drafted into the army when he was super, super young. I mean, probably a teenager.
So scary.
Yeah.
To think of all the idiot kids I know getting drafted, or even like my husband who's in his 30s, but he's just like such a gentle, fragile son.
Yeah. And this kid was just like, I don't know, my parents were bakers, you know.
Oh
my parents make really yummy cake.
Yeah, he's like in war, but he's doing what PETA did in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
He's like painting himself to look like a rock, and he's like, "This is my only skill set.
I learned it from baking." It's probably not true. He probably killed people, but like I like thinking about it.
I like this version. I like this version. On the main feed, sometimes I think Hunger Games is generally good, but on the main feed, we should maybe talk about some of like the funny parts of it, because there are some funny parts.
Yeah, for sure. So unsurprisingly, because of his, well, oh my God, there's so much to talk about with this guy. He lived such a life.
I'm excited. Okay.
In the army, methinks we saw some dark times, because he really developed this strong, like, satirical, very dark sense of humor, and I would say dark form of illustration as well. I think probably kind of started in that time, because in the 50s he started illustrating for Playboy.
Oh shit. Well, his illustrations in his like poetry books do look like you are sitting in a trench with like one shitty charcoal pencil. You know what I mean?
And you're just like manically
you're like, I can't hear any of my friends dying.
Yeah. I'm just drawing some funny
I'm drawing
pictures.
A silly guy with two faces.
Yeah. But some themes that are really strong in his works include war, death, a lot of death, suicide, divorce, lots of really dark stuff. And I think for that reason, this is why a lot of his poetry and a lot of his works have been so controversial, because as you know, probably as someone who has had to like edit and know about children's literature, people really have a low bar for what they believe that children can handle and what they assume is appropriate.
It's like a huge debate and discussion. That's also factors hugely into book banning, which we
it may tie in here, actually.
Yeah, okay, cool. I was like, we talked about that on the main feed, and then I was like, no, I've only dreamed of talking about it on the main feed.
Oh yeah, that was here. Hello again. It's just like very funny that it's like the churches that are the ones that super embrace the giving tree, because all of his other works, like especially his big poetry books, were definitely not embraced by the church, and some were banned. A lot were banned. Actually, a couple were banned just because like a couple of different poems. Anyway, oh my gosh, we're not even there yet. Okay, so he's writing for Playboy.
I love that. Wait, he's writing or illustrating?
No, I'm so sorry. He's illustrating for Playboy.
Because I was like, oh my God, he's doing it all. That man is running the show.
He's kind of like political cartoons, kind of, but just
I'm looking
for Playboy.
It up to see if I can.
And you'll recognize kind of that like scraggly type of.
Oh yeah.
Illustrating.
Oh my God, this is so like 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's an icon. I mean, he was did something pretty significant pretty much every decade he was alive. So he did a good job with Playboy. He made a lot of money. Hef liked him, and I think he probably had a good time. I mean, I'm gonna guess this guy had a good time. I did write this part. So this is so funny to me. So from 67 to 75, Silverstein lived on a houseboat in Sausalito, California.
What a guy.
Never married. And according to the 2007 biography called A Boy Named Shell, which I'll get into why it's called that, A Boy Named Shell, he apparently had sex with, in quotes, hundreds, perhaps thousands of women.
Oh my God.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Because in my head, I really like the idea of him maybe being like a shy little bi guy or a little gay, but that is a lot of projection. Well,
yeah, what if he's just fucked a lot of people and they're like, women, what dudes fuck, but it's no, it's like everyone. You don't know what goes on in my houseboat.
That's so true. That's stinky, like 70s houseboat. Ew. So sticky in there.
What a vibe.
I know.
It's briny.
I'm kind of like picturing like that houseboat that what's his face Skarsgård has in Mamma Mia. Like that's like his boat that he drives the boys to the island.
I forgot about that. Was it a houseboat?
I mean, it has a bedroom and a kitchen in it, so it's like underneath though. I wouldn't consider it bougie.
I think it might be like a boat that he can sleep on, not like a houseboat. I think there's a line somewhere.
Probably it was nicer. I mean, I would assume he could afford a nice boat at that point.
With that Playboy money.
Yeah, he got that Playboy money. I also want to give a shout out to Ursula Norman, who is Shell's ride or die editor. This man does not sound like an easy man to edit for. He has been quoted saying a lot of things along the lines of like, I'm always open, or like I never read reviews because if there's good ones, there's going to be bad ones. And I just like don't give a shit what anybody has to say about what I write or draw. Like you can't stifle my creativity.
That's like a good mentality, like to a point kind of.
Yes.
And I did notice one of his books was dedicated to Ursula.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is that? And I didn't do any research because it was your turn to do research.
Yeah, she's the ride or die, man. And he says a lot of nice stuff about her and really appreciates her. So shout out to Ursula, man. She probably put up with a lot of shit and probably not easy to be. I mean, I'm assuming like she was an editor at like what I can't remember what the main company, Harper and Collins, or at like a huge publishing house. Probably wasn't a lot of female editors at that time, unless that's like a female-ish job.
I think it is. That's the kind of book publishing is one of those businesses where the workforce is like 80% women, but the leadership is all men.
You know what, Tina? That makes sense to me too, because now I'm thinking about it. If you look at movies, a lot of times the directors, like wives and girlfriends, are the ones who end up editing the entire movie. And literally, God bless them.
It does look like his publisher since 1990 for Our Whole Lives has been HarperCollins. But was originally published when they were, Harper and Row before they merged. Yeah.
Okay. So he's seen a lot of things. He's lived a lot of life. A huge thing that I really got into was he's kind of like a Renaissance man. Like when you hear that term, it just means, a person who is very, very talented and prolific in multiple different types of art. Yeah. So he not only
like Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance.
Yes. So he, not only was an illustrator and a writer, and I guess a soldier, but he also was an amazing songwriter. He was a very good musician. He was known to have played at least 4 instruments, including piano, guitar, trombone, and drums. And
wow,
a trombone, right? Like just throwing that in there.
Yeah.
And that's not a normal one. Like I will say, like if you can pick up piano first, you can kind of like figure out guitar, and then from there, you can kind of figure out drums. But trombone is like it's whole nother language, basically. He became like huge in this genre of music in the 70s called outlaw country. And this is where we got people such as Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash.
Cool. What the hell? I wonder if he's on Spotify.
I don't know if he's singing in any of these, but his songwriting, including the music and lyrics. He wrote for Willie Nelson. He wrote for Johnny Cash. He wrote for Loretta Lynn. He wrote for just about anybody you can think of from this time. He actually wrote, Johnny Cash has a very famous song called A Boy Named Sue, which was like also the name of one of his albums. He wrote that. So that's why that's the name of Shell's autobiography, called A Boy Named Shell.
Yeah. His most played song on Spotify is called I Got Stoned and I Missed It.
Wait, I love that.
I know.
Is it a Johnny Cash song?
I don't know. It just says Shel Silverstein, but people can put whatever they want on Spotify, so who knows?
Yeah. He also wrote this other song for Johnny Cash that I do know, called 25 Minutes. And 25 minutes to go. Sorry, it's about a man on death row, which with each line counting down 1 minute closer.
Wow.
Super dark stuff.
That's really dark. And for the record, I got stoned and I missed it. Looks like it was originally by Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
The 70s were a wild time, man.
I wish I was there. And the clip of this music video is just this guy, the lead singer, just absolutely ripping his shirt off. Nope, somebody's doing it for him. I thought it was him. Somebody's doing it for him. Okay, good for that guy. I guess that's Dr. Hook.
He posthumously, is that how you say that word?
Yeah.
Won a Grammy for one of his songs. It might have been A Boy Named Sue.
Wow.
But he's been his songs have been recorded by like tons of different artists. And he was like extremely prolific, which is crazy. I had no idea.
I kind of didn't either. This is exactly like when I started researching Amir Khusru, and I was like, wait, this guy like invented a lot of kinds of poetry and music. Like, what is happening?
Like,
and also the sitar.
Yeah, and also the sitar, which is a dope instrument, by the way.
Yeah.
At the time, country music was really polished and cutesy and pretty like clean cut. So guys like Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash coming in, there's others, but those are the two I care about, to be like, yeah, it's actually like not glamorous living in poverty, and here are ways that we like make it better. Like, let's talk about like how like fucked up the incarceration system is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about depression. Let's talk about alcoholism. Like,
wow.
Like
boys talking about their feelings.
Boys talking about their feelings. And at the time, Nashville Row was basically all these blocks in Nashville. That's where you recorded country music. And it was very, very, very strict about its guidelines of like what could be played on the radio and what hits could be. So this outlaw country genre broke new grounds and completely flipped the genre over to make it something more like modern and like interesting and relevant and progressive. And to me personally, I don't feel like country music is like that anymore. I feel that country music...
certainly not progressive.
No. We've regressed back to we need to all sing about the same subject matter. We need to all hit these certain marks.
Yeah. Classic country is very good, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because it's storytelling. Like, it's supposed to be real raw storytelling with heart and emotion.
I'm going to put on our... related topics. What happened to country music after 9/11? Maybe that can be
Tina, that's such a good idea.
That could
Another
be our
9/11
fourth year 9/11 episode.
There's so much content. It's like it changed everything.
I know.
Oh my god. So then, aside from all of that, which I found so interesting, he also became huge in theater. He wrote a lot of different plays and short sketches. I don't recognize any of them, but there's a lot. There's a lot that he did in theater in the 70s and 80s.
Is there an art form he never did? Maybe like weaving?
Dancing.
Dancing?
I don't think that our guy was a dancer. I don't know. Maybe he was a boogie woogie bugle man from Company B. We don't know. But he also never married, so if you consider that an art form.
That's very funny.
He never married. He died at 68, which is kind of sad, of a heart attack in Key West at his house.
And that was in like 1990.
Yeah, it was in the 90s. He died in 99, actually. Just before 9/11.
I read his... Oh, he missed it. I read Shel Silverstein's books, all of them, a lot growing up, like quite a bit. I think they were formative in like me learning to be a writer. And I don't think it ever occurred to me that he had already died by that time. They felt more contemporary.
Timeless. Yeah.
I don't know. And like in his picture on the back of the books, he's young.
Yeah. I mean, he's bald, but he's pulling it off, I gotta say.
He's not like an elderly bald.
No,
he looks like an on-purpose bald.
Yeah, let's see. So he was born in 1930, and he served in the U.S. Army from 49 to 55. Wow, that's a long time. In the Korean War, I apologize. So it was in the Korean War. I always forget about that one.
I know, me too. All I got is, I kind of know almost nothing about the Korean War, and all I got is Red Foreman from that 70s show just going, Korea, because he would always say it in that gruff voice of his.
I think maybe this is Vietnam, but I know about Jane Fonda, that a lot of vets and such didn't like her but they called her Hanoi Jane, and that's Vietnamese, no? I do not got anything. This is the wrong pair, guys.
Wasn't she like very anti-war?
She was very anti-war, yeah.
But we hate the war, not the troops. But maybe we didn't know that then. maybe we weren't talking about that then.
No. He also worked on TV and film. May not surprise you at all.
Wow.
He wrote a lot of like screenplays, and I'm not just saying like the screenplay of The Giving Tree, like all different kinds of like daytime television and nighttime television. He also has theme songs that have been used in a lot of TV shows and movies, including that movie Almost Famous with Kate Hudson, Thelma and Louise, Coal Miner's Daughter, which is about Loretta Lynn, as well as the Dustin Hoffman film Who is Harry Kellerman and Why is he saying those terrible things about me? I don't know that one, but I thought that was funny.
What a title.
He actually did not want to do children's writing at all, which may not surprise you considering his history is from like he's like a war-wizened man who wrote for Playboy.
Yeah, what on earth?
But basically he said, I never planned to write for kids. It was this friend of mine, Tommy Ungerer, who insisted basically dragged me kicking and screaming into Ursula Nordstrom's office. And she convinced me that Tommy was right. I could do it. I could do children's books.
I wonder if he was writing kind of like bawdy poems, like limericks and shit. Yes. And it's like, yeah, these are fun, but like if you make them for kids, people will pay for them.
Yeah. There once was a girl with big boobies. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I know, I see what it's naughty, but like, I feel like he's got the right energy.
Yeah.
Which is all, again, like a crazy move because the 70s were nuts and no one would ever make this happen nowadays. This boy wrote smut or like drew smut, colored, like he should not be near children. Banned, like absolutely not. But yeah, here's an example of him being kind of inflexible. Asked if he would change, this is somebody is quoting this. Asked if he would, I don't feel like saying who. Asked if he would change something he had produced on an editor's say-so, he would answer commonly with a flat no. But he added,
editors love working with writers like this.
Yeah. He added, I will take a suggestion for revision. I do eliminate certain things when I'm writing for children if I think only an adult will get the idea. Then I drop it or save it. But editors messing with content? No.
Whatever, Shell.
I know, Shelley. What? And is his name? I think his name is just Shell. Oh, no, it's Sheldon. Just kidding.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sheldon is a tough one.
Sheldon Silverstein is not nearly as good as Shel Silverstein.
Yeah, I kind of really like the name Shell for a boy a little bit. But not Sheldon. I do not like Sheldon for a boy.
That's Plankton's name in SpongeBob that they make fun of him for.
Oh, yeah! Oh, my God, Tina. We've been listening to a lot of AI covers of Plankton singing songs.
So good.
It's so good. Why is it so good?
Somebody who has that voice needs to be capitalizing on this.
I know. Oh, my God. So that's about it. I did want to talk about the book that I'm gonna, the two poems that I wanted to share today. We're each gonna share a couple poems.
Yeah.
Is from his book called A Light in the Attic. I believe it's his third published book of poetry. published in the 80s. He actually published it for his 11-year-old daughter, Shoshana, who tragically died of a heart failure.
Oh, man.
So she kind of like immediately died, and then he wrote this book.
Oh, my
so
God.
It is considered, I would say, the darkest of the three. I don't know if you can guess why. And it's very clear. He has a lot of themes of death. And here, this is also the book that I think is kind of funny. It got banned from what school? Some Texas school, probably. Oh, it was Lake County, Florida. Back in the 80s because
Classic Florida.
The main one was that parents did not like this poem in this book called How Not to Have to Dry the Dishes. I remember reading this poem as a little girl and thinking, damn, that's a good idea.
Because the punchline is like, you break them, right?
Yeah. You drop the dish. I kept dropping them on the floor. Now I don't have to do dishes anymore. My mom said, that is not funny or okay,
right.
young lady.
That ain't right.
and that's fair. I mean, you just can't be telling kids they can do that. But it is pretty funny. The other one that upset people was his poem called Little Abigail and the Beautiful Pony. It resulted in criticism for describing the death of a little girl whose parents refused to buy her a pony.
Wow.
So, maybe we went a little too far there, Shelley.
So, Leela, when we first were talking about doing an episode on Shel Silverstein, you were like, aren't his poems really scary? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're very cute and like whimsical. But rereading these books, it is both. Like, they're cute and whimsical and scary and dark. Like, it's all of them.
They're more so dark than scary, though, rereading them.
Not scary, but sometimes you're like, la, 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 and it's, like, adorable. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, wait a fucking second.
Did he die? Yeah. I think there's also, I think it may have been the illustrations that scared me more.
They are scrappy.
They're kind of creepy. I mean, A Light in the Attic, this illustration, he's got something on his face, on my book, but... it's creepy. And he has some pictures of like monsters and things like that in the book that are a little scary too.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's just something about his illustration style is like very manic and unsettling a little bit. But
yeah,
it's
cool. It's like he just sketched it and like never finalized it.
Yeah, but that's his style, so I'm sure that he did. But yeah, I would like to share, this is very sweet. In the beginning of this, oh my God. I can't really. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can't see.
That's all right.
But at the beginning,
I see though.
The opening page of this book, which is Jason's family book, which I guess Jason at one point took. It says, to Dustin, that's Jason's older brother. It says, happy 11 in parentheses. Love mom and dad.
In quotation marks.
So, anyway,
is it in quotation marks?
Yeah, it is.
Quotation marks. Okay.
It says happy 11 in quotation marks. Love mom and dad.
Huh.
So. Very cute.
That is cute. I meant to read this at the very beginning of the episode. It's a really short one. I meant to read it right at the beginning.
Oh crap!
So I'm gonna, but it's fine. I'm gonna do it now. Okay. So I pulled all my poems from Where the Sidewalk Ends. You pulled yours from A Light in the Attic, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this one is from Where the Sidewalk Ends. Okay. Invitation. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer, if you're a pretender, come sit by my fire, for we have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in, come in.
I love that.
Isn't that so cute? That would have been so cute to start the episode with if I had remembered.
Dang it.
Yeah, not dark at all. There are some poems that are not remotely dark. They're just fun. They're just for kids, but there is darkness there.
Yes. Here's a very scary one.
Okay.
And we will share maybe some pictures of these illustrations. This poem is called Skin Stealer.
Oh, great. Okay, can't wait.
This evening, I unzipped my skin and carefully unscrewed my head, exactly as I always do when I prepare myself for bed. And while I slept, a cuckoo came, as naked as could be, and put on the skin and screwed on the head that once belonged to me. Now, wearing my feet, he runs through the street in a most disgraceful way, doing things and saying things I'd never do or say, tickling the children and
No.
kicking the men and dancing the ladies away.
All right,
So
well,
if he
maybe.
makes your bright eyes cry or makes your poor head spin, that scoundrel you see, it's not really me. He's the cuckoo who's wearing my skin.
Oh my God, that's fucking horrifying.
And you guys, I will share this illustration, but it is...
I remember that. Oh my God, that's fucking horrifying. Okay, my poems are so much cuter than yours. I'm glad we did different books.
I have a cute one too, but this book has a lot more, I would say, of that style of...
Yeah. Well, here's my
poetry.
cute one.
Okay, go.
It's called The Farmer and the Queen. She's coming, said the farmer to the owl. Oh, what shall I do? Shall I bow when she comes? Shall I twiddle my thumbs? The owl asked. Who? The queen, the royal queen. She'll pass the farm today. Shall I salute? He asked the horse. The horse said, nay. Shall I give her a gift? He asked the wren. A lovely memento for her to keep? An egg or a peach or an ear of corn? The wren said, cheap. But should I curtsy or should I cheer? Oh, here's her carriage now. What should I do? He asked the dog. The dog said, bow. And so he did, and so she passed. Oh, tra-la-la-la-la. She smiled, she did, he told the sheep. The sheep said, bah. That's so cute.
That's really clever.
I agree. I love it so much.
Oh my God. Okay, mine's really short.
Okay.
It's great. This is called Pie Problem. If I eat one more piece of pie, I'll die. If I can't have one more piece of pie, I'll die. So since it's all decided I must die, I might as well have one more piece of pie. Mmm. Ooh, my. Chomp. Bye. And then that's the child dying.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I assume. She died because she was going to die either way. She said, I'll die if I don't have more pie. If I have more pie, I'll die. So I'd rather die with more pie.
Okay. I'm following.
Relatable.
Okay, so what is this one? I said falling up, right? Oh, where the sidewalk ends.
Yeah.
The tone is different because here's like, I was gonna say this one's really similar, but it's not. It's called Pancake with a question mark. Who wants a pancake? Sweet and piping hot. Good little Grace looks up and says, I'll take the one on top. Who else wants a pancake fresh off the griddle? Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take the one in the middle. And the illustration is of like a million like a stack. You can't see it. A stack of a million pancakes.
Terrible Teresa.
Terrible Teresa. That's my name. Don't wear it out.
That's so funny. Oh, man. There's so many other good ones that I found.
I know.
It was hard to pick. But really good stuff. And I think I will read some of these to my kids. And I'll let them read all of them when they get old enough.
Yeah. So I wanted to just real quick. So
yeah, I was going to ask you if you like wanted to say anything about his like the way that his writing style. Because I see a lot of different stuff. Like I see a lot of limericks, but like other stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to do like a chronology of Shel Silverstein. So it looks like his first book. Okay. So he has a couple older books for children. Lafcadio, The Lion Who Shot Back.
I saw that one. It's a picture of a lion holding a trigger, right? Like a trigger, a gun.
It doesn't, I don't see that on the cover, but I'm sure that's what it is. Uncle Shelby's ABZ book. Okay, stuff like that. But of his popular books that I'm familiar with, the first one that was published was The Giving Tree in 1964.
Oh, that's so much older than I thought it would be.
I know. But the illustration and the colors, especially of The Giving Tree, are very 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Where the Sidewalk Ends was 1974. A Light in the Attic was 1981. Falling Up was 1996. Oh, wow. So that must have been published posthumously.
Yeah.
There's also, did you ever read The Missing Piece?
I don't think so.
It's about this circle that looks like a Pac-Man. So he's missing a pizza slice and he's like rolling around looking for his perfect piece.
Oh.
Spoiler alert, he finds it eventually. But he tries some stuff that doesn't quite fit. It's like, Are You My Mother? But way more abstract.
Okay.
There's also another poetry book I've never heard of, and it's because it was published in 2011. It must have been more posthumously collected works, called Everything on It. I've never heard of that in my life, but I wasn't a kid. I was in college in 2011. So I definitely had all of these except for Everything on It when I was a kid growing up. I don't really recall. I mean, you've described to me that A Light in the Attic is like the dark one, like extra dark, because that's when his daughter had just passed away.
Yeah.
I don't really recall like remembering differences. You know, I would read these all like indiscriminately kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting because there's hundreds of poems among those two. I remember one time having to memorize one of his poems for class. Let me see if I can just like Google it really quick, because I kind of remember what it was about. Okay, I guess I don't remember, but I did have to memorize in elementary school one. I don't know if it had to be one of his poems or just any poem, but I did memorize and recite one about ice cream.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, his poetry is like very simplistic. Like, it rhymes a lot of the time, which is like very appealing to children.
Yeah.
A lot of children's like non-poetry books, I'm putting it in quotes because it's like a blurry line, but like a lot of children's non-poetry books are still written in verse. So it's like not a poem, but it's in verse because it rhymes and it has a meter. And that's actually a huge problem for children's book editors, especially at like small indie presses like the ones I've worked at that work with a lot of debut authors. There's this like huge epidemic of people thinking they can write children's books because they're dumb and for babies, but they're not dumb.
No.
A lot of them are have obviously like a lot of hard work put into them. And like, you've never obviously studied poetry, random author off the street. And so Haley and I, as children's books editors, do a lot of like counting syllables and like talking about rhyme schemes and stuff like that. But it seems like the kind of thing that came really naturally to him, at least by this part of his life, after he had worked so much in music and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And also the rhyme, I think, is part of what adds to that cutesiness.
The charm. Yeah.
The charm, like even in the really dark stuff, it's like it rhymes. It's like, it almost has this like persistent, cheerful tone that sometimes is like in direct opposition with the content at hand, which is very interesting.
Even like his music, like that song 25 Minutes to Go, which is so dark, is like the music aspect of it is like not though. It's like jaunty. It's like ding 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 ding. Like it's just I think that like what's the word, like dichotomy, like the way that they're
different. It's just
cheerfulness like contrasts with the darkness of the content is like really special, and it's like something that's kind of normal I think now, but back then I think it was either happy or dark. You really didn't like mix it a lot, especially not in like children's literature.
Yeah.
So I think
I don't know. Remember that story about that girl who took the ribbon off her neck and then her head fell off?
But it wasn't that him? Are you? Is that not him?
No, that's not him.
Oh, I thought that was him. I think maybe that's why I thought it was scary. Okay.
Oh, I forgot. That's I think it's called the Green Ribbon. Maybe we'll cover that sometime.
The Green Ribbon.
I will say that like these poetry compilations, at times it is clear that he was trying to fill them. There's a couple poems that are whack. Most of them are at least cute. This one is so bad though. It's called Flag. 1 star is for Alaska, 1 star is for Nebraska, 1 star is for North Dakota, 1 star is for Minnesota. There are lots of other stars, but I forget which ones they are. Shell.
This one's called Batty. It's 4 lines long.
Okay.
The baby bat screamed out in fright. Turn on the dark. I'm afraid of the light.
Oh yeah, that's so cute.
I guess
so. That is that a poem? No, that's like a couplet. It's cute as hell. Is it on its own page?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's too much. I read this one and tell me who this reminds you of.
Okay.
Tell me what your first thought is. Well, maybe the illustration. I sent this in the Discord server. It's called Us. Me and him and me, we're always together, as you can see. I wish he'd leave so I'd be free. I'm getting a little bit tired of he, and he may be a bit bored with me. On movies and ladies, we cannot agree. I love to dance, he loves to ski. He likes the mountains, I love the sea. I like hot chocolate, he wants his tea. I want to sleep, he has to pee. He's meaner and duller and fatter than me. I guess there's worse things we could be. Instead of 2, we could be 3. Me and him and me. And the illustration, I know you can't see my phone on this fucking camera, but the illustration is this guy, fuck man, camera, just let me do it.
Get it closer maybe? Oh, it almost...
Whatever. It's a guy with a guy on the back of his head.
Oh.
It's giving Quirrell and Lord Voldemort, but actually maybe a Harry Potter musical version of like the Odd Couple version of them.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, some of them are definitely page fillers. Some of them are scary. There's like this one is very Dr. Seussian, if you can see that.
Yeah.
The illustration's kind of scary. It's called Dinner Guest. When the razor-tooth sline, S-L-I-N-E, comes to my house to dine, you may find me in France or Detroit, or off in Khartoum, or in the spare room of my Uncle Ed's place in Beloit. That doesn't sound like a real place. You may find me in Philly, Racine, or Rabat. You may find me in Malmo or Gore. You may see me in Sikkim, and likely as not, you will run into me at the store. You may find me in Hamburg or up in St. Paul, in Kyoto, Kenosha, or Nome. But one thing is sure, if you find me at all, you shall never find me at home.
That's cool. That kind of sounds like him, at least in his boat. He's boating.
Yeah.
This one's called Ridiculous Rose. Her mama said, "Don't eat with your fingers." Okay, said Ridiculous Rose, so she ate with her toes. Rose. But some of these are like so good. I'm gonna read Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Please.
There is a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins, and there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends. Past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow, we shall walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk-white arrows go, to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk-white arrows go, for the children they mark and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. Very lovely.
It is, and it also, like, you know, it's like a cool little, like, ooh, there's this, like, in-between place.
Yeah. Do you want to read A Light in the Attic?
Yeah. Oh.
Like the poem?
Let me find it. Is it actually in here?
I think that they're all named after poems in the book.
Oh, gosh. It's the first one. Duh. Okay. There's a light on in the attic, though the house is dark and shuttered. I can see a flickering flutter, and I know what it's about. There's a light on in the attic. I can see it from the outside, and I know you're on the inside, looking out.
Oh, I love that.
It's kind of sweet.
And just while we're here, I'll read Falling Up, because I think that's my favorite title poem. Falling Up. I tripped on my shoelace and I fell up to the rooftops, up over the town, up past the treetops, up over the mountains, up where the colors blend into the sounds. But it got me so dizzy when I looked around, I got sick to my stomach and I threw down. That's something that's perfect for children.
It's
like, that's so funny. It's like, oh my God. It's like throwing up, but hilariouser.
Yeah. This one's a little, the places you'll go, but you know.
Okay.
This is called This Bridge. This bridge
Sorry.
This bridge will only take you halfway there, to those mysterious lands you long to see. Through, spoilers, this is not great terminology, but I'm just going to keep going. Through gypsy camps and swirling Arab fairs and moonlit woods where unicorns run free. So come and walk a while with me and share the twisting trails and wondrous worlds I've known. But this bridge will only take you halfway there. The last few steps you'll have to take alone.
Wow, that's really nice.
I'm like, I need to go on an adventure now.
Shell inspired me.
I know. And you know, that's just like, he's thinking of his daughter when he's writing that, you know, but he's thinking of himself too.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh my
sweet.
God.
I know. And her name is Shoshana, and I do love that name a lot.
Shell and Shoshana Silverstein is, first of all, extremely Jewish. Also, that's like, she sells seashells by the seashore.
I bet he did it on purpose, not me.
All right. I think that we've just about covered it. Do you have any last words about our friend Shell?
I was going to get into the Giving Tree, but...
You can if you want to.
All right. We'll do it quickly.
Yeah.
So this book has been described as one of the most divisive books in children's literature. The controversy stems from whether the relationship between the boy and the tree should be interpreted as positive, i.e. selfless love, or negative, like it's a toxic relationship. I would say like it's a toxic relationship. It's beautifully written and it's a beautiful book, but it's a bad example as how you should behave in a relationship.
I would never want anyone to treat myself or like my kid that way.
Either way, like you shouldn't expect that much from others. And you shouldn't demand that much from others, you know?
There's no reciprocity, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a difficult time finding a publisher for Giving Tree. Editor at Simon & Schuster rejected it because he felt it was too sad for children and too simple for adults.
I understand both of those things. I think it's appropriate for kids, but it teaches them a real lesson.
Yes. So a couple interpretations that are the most popular. We got religious interpretations, which I sort of touched on already. Ursula, good old Ursula, she attributed the book's success partially to the success. A lot of it she attributed it to Protestant ministers and Sunday school teachers who believed that the tree represents the Christian ideal of unconditional love. Which is definitely something they preached to me in church a lot, which is unconditional love is something that none of us have the capacity of having. It's something that only Jesus has, and it's because he loves you no matter what, right? But also, you should be selfless and love others more than you love yourself is kind of like also something that they preach. There's also environmental interpretations, which I think is a little basic. That's a pretty literal interpretation.
Agreed. It's definitely like there and it's worthy, but
cut down tree is bad.
Cut down tree bad. Yeah.
A lot of people interpret the tree as Mother Nature and the boy as humanity, that type of situation.
Yeah.
Allegories about the responsibilities a human being has for living organisms in the environment. Some curricula will use this book as a what not to do role model. There's also friendship interpretations, and the one I see a lot is mother and son interpretations. I think that's the most toxic interpretation.
Well, I do too. And when you were talking about how like some Christians think that Jesus or God is the only one who can have unconditional love, I was thinking like, what about parents? Like, how can you possibly argue that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's like what we should strive to be, but like no one truly has that because everyone's inherently selfish or whatever. I don't know. But the mother son is just helps perpetuate that women are meant to be mothers, and mothers are meant to be completely selfless creatures that should just give away all that they are, all of their identity to their kids and ask nothing in return. And all of your identity and happiness should stem from any interaction that you have with that kid. And any interaction that the tree has with this boy is she's giving away part of herself, including her branches and eventually the whole tree. And as we know at the end, the boy is an old man. He comes to the tree, which is now just a stump, and the tree is sad. And the tree is sad not because she got cut down or, or anything. The tree is sad because she no longer has anything else to offer the boy. And the boy says, that's okay. I don't need anything. I'm just an old man. I just want a nice place to sit down. And I'm thinking die probably is the subcontext.
Yeah, and
there.
it's like he only really comes to her as to be with her when he has nothing left.
Yes. And that's the same as the beginning. So like at the beginning, he swang in the tree's branches and he played and he sat in her shade and spent time with the tree. But as he grew older, he grew more selfish and he just wanted things from the tree.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes full circle at the end when he has nothing left but sit and wait. And the tree is still able to be helpful. And it's really sad and it's really beautiful. The way he writes it is really simple and beautiful. Like,
yeah, I agree. I reread the whole thing today.
Yeah.
I was like 65 pages when I got it from Libby, and then I was like, oh, there's only 6 words on a page.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah. It's mostly...
I read it in 6 seconds.
It's mostly sketchings.
Yeah. But like, if that was part of his initial pitch, if it came with the illustrations, which I'm sure it did, because he's an author illustrator, I understand why that would be a hard sell too, like a 65-page children's book.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
These days, that would be maybe unprintably long, you know, in hardcover.
Just a fun little fact to kind of end us out. The photograph, which I wish I could share, but I don't think I have power. The scary picture of Shell and the attention it received was touched upon in the novel Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Oh, really?
We are both a little too old for, but
I know, but my brothers were all over that shit.
Yes. The one that's called the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw. I don't know which one that is. By Jeff Kinney. The protagonist, Greg, states that the photograph of Silverstein on the back of the Giving Tree terrified him as a child, and that his father would exploit his fear, saying to his son that if he got out of bed at night, he would probably run into Shel Silverstein in the hallway.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Like, I really think that Shel Silverstein's author photos remind me of Stephen King's author photos.
Yes.
And like, authors, you should have an author photo that like indicates at what your audience and subject
like
matter
tone.
is. Tone.
Yeah. Like a
the
fun
way that,
guy.
The way that Rick Riordan, the author of Percy Jackson, all of his author photos are just like the friendliest dad teacher. Like, he's so nice. Like, it's just so funny.
Yeah. I guess he was like, I'm not going to smile. I've seen war. Or whatever.
Okay. Well, is that all you got about Shell?
Yeah, that's all I got, I think.
This has been like a very pleasant walk down memory lane. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too. It just makes me want to like look at more of his stuff and like,
yeah.
I like the idea I like the opportunity to think a little bit more about this author who's just kind of so ubiquitous in our American literature.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It does make me want to reread. I don't know where my copies got to. I wonder if I got rid of them, but that's okay. There's always more copies to be got.
Yeah, especially of good old Shel Silverstein.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Burn After Reading.
Until next time, remember,
we don't know.
We don't know.
We didn't write this. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.